Three section is three service, two creamies auto service, one on one, but none more. Like, and link to the video will be the description below. Go and check them out. So let's get into this vaccine. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
It was an ordinary family dinner before Christmas. Everyone was in a good mood, those rare moments in a family when everyone feels carefree. The table was almost set, and we were sitting down when suddenly the doorbell rang. We were not expecting anyone, so it was quite strange, especially at such a time. I opened the door. Behind her was an elderly woman, about 60 to 70 years old, in a festive dress under a fur coat, and in her hand she even had some cake. I asked her what brought her here at such a time. She introduced herself, her name was Emma, and told me a long story, that she lived in the neighborhood, all alone, a widow, with no grandchildren or children, and that the interesting thing was that she always came to this house next door to the Shelton family to celebrate Christmas together. And indeed, we only moved into this house 2 months ago, and the Shelton family lived here before us. Emma made a point of not insisting on staying with us at all, but just came to meet us and brought a pie. I, stalling for a few seconds and feeling awkward, said that she was welcome to join us, of course, and to spend Christmas with us. And it turned out to be a really good evening, as we all had a good conversation and learned a lot about the neighborhood and the neighbors. Before going to bed, Emma thanked us, said goodbye, and went home. But what happened the next day, of course, surprised and frightened us.
What?
We noticed it only by the evening of the next day that a couple of my wife's necklaces, my camera, my work laptop, which I don't even touch on weekends, and most strangely of all, the vacuum cleaner was missing. It was
What?
an expensive Dyson vacuum cleaner, not small in size at all. I was confused as to how she could even take it out. I did not go to the neighbor's house on private property and did more carefully. We called the police, wrote a statement, during which we learned from the district police officer that there was no grandmother Emma in the neighborhood, and was
What?
not. We were shocked. To this day, 3 years after that incident, we still do not know where that grandmother is and how many such robberies she could pull off.
Why is the grandmother Emma? What did she go to? That's a little suspicious and creepy. I don't know what she been to.
It was Christmas Eve, the night of December 24 to 25, and I was riding the subway. For the vast majority of people, of course, this day was for spending the evening with family, but not for me, as I had no close relatives left, and of my friends were only colleagues at work. It was more important for me to earn more money at such a time than to have a rest. But that's not the point. The subway was empty, which is rare. The carriage I was riding in was almost empty, except for 2 men in a Santa suit and 1 girl between them, who was clearly intoxicated with alcohol or drugs, because these 2 Santas had to support her constantly so that she did not fall. Everything was fine, until the 2 men started to look at me strangely, as if they were talking to each other about me. At that moment, I hadn't gotten so worked up that I didn't think it meant anything. To ignore them, I pulled out my cell phone and started flipping through it. Out of the corner of my eye, I began to notice their increasing attention to me. At the next station, a young guy came in, looking around strangely as he entered, as if surprised by the emptiness of the carriage. For a moment, he caught my attention even more than the 2 men dressed as Santas with the intoxicated girl between them, because all the way to the next station he stood fidgeting, as if worried. Having traveled only 1 station since the moment when the young man came in, we stopped, and he sharply grabbed me by the arm and threw me off the carriage. I, dumbfounded, shouted at him, "What the fuck are you doing?" Tried to get back in, but the carriage doors had already closed. Not understanding what had just happened and why this man pushed me out of the car, I spent the rest of the time before going to sleep with these thoughts. The next morning, I saw a news report that shocked me, saying that yesterday on Christmas night, two deranged men dressed as Santa in an alley had attacked a woman, beaten her, and drugged her. Then their
What?
stupidest decision was to ride the subway with her, taking her under their arm. The young man who pushed me out of the car called the police on the button on the wall and got into a fight with two Santas without wanting to. Good for him. Everything ended well, and the police were waiting for them at the next station, which of course cannot be said about the woman, who was almost unconscious and is now in the hospital. Hopefully she will recover.
Wow. That was a lot. Wow. Hope the woman is okay. Wow.
Let me warn you right away
It really makes you think. Yeah. Wow.
that I had no sleepwalking episodes before or after that Christmas night, and nothing like that ever happened to me again. As a child, since I was about 6 years old, I was easily left home alone late at night or nighttime. I was quite independent, not afraid of the dark. Of course, it didn't happen often, but I even liked being alone. The events of Christmas night happened when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock in the evening, my parents went to a friend's house to celebrate Christmas, promising that they would come back in 2 or 3 hours. So once again, I was alone at home. For about an hour, I just sat in front of the TV. Everything was fine. I fell asleep at about 12 o'clock, just falling into a dream. And the dream was amazing. I was standing at the window, looking at the night sky. I could see everything quite well. The sky was clear, starry. There are silhouettes in the distance, as if they were playing, coming closer together, then flying apart again, tumbling. Who are they? People, but they have wings. Big wings. Angels. I don't know. The creatures come closer and closer, and I hear singing. It's beautiful. Their marvelous voices seem to blend into one. I don't know the language in which these creatures sing, but I eagerly catch every sound. The silhouettes come closer still, and I can already see clothes, something like long dresses. Closer still, and I can already make out faces. How beautiful they are. They smile, they sing. Their singing is mesmerizing and calls to them. I'm coming to you. Suddenly, there is a flash of light in the sky. Something like a small fist-sized glowing ball of light speeds toward me and hits me gently in the chest. The
What?
creatures are not happy. Their chanting is no longer as slender. Another blow, another. I begin to come to my senses. The singing turns to a hideous howl. The creatures' faces twist with rage and anger, and they become terrifying. Another ball blows. One last, ear-splitting, horrifying scream. A bright flash of light, and I finally wake up. It's all gone. It's 12:10. My parents came home around 1 o'clock a.m. My mom asked why I was awake. After I told her about the dream, she just laughed, saying that I had listened to my grandmother's fairy tales, so I dreamed all kinds of nonsense. But I didn't tell her everything. I didn't tell her that I woke up standing on the windowsill. It wasn't until 5 years later that I had the courage to tell the story to everyone, in the hope
Wow.
that there would be no repercussions.
Wow. That's a really real and suspicious dream. Yeah. Wow. It really makes you think. Yeah. Wow. So a tweet, series 2 criminals or service 1-on-1 by Nemo. The link to the video will be in the description below. Go in segment and drop a like if you like. And comment on below if you want to see more reaction like this one. And subscribe if you're new. And click the bell to be none of a minute below. In what? Bye. Wow.